Welcome, everyone. Snap Packs are officially here, and we have an exclusive interview to talk about what Snap Packs are going to be bringing to Marvel Snap and how the next era of Second Dinner's Marvel Snap is going to be transformed with this new system. Now, when I say we, I mean we. We have a panel here today to interview Matt directly, who we'll talk a little bit more about later on. So let's bring on in the panel and introduce them to go through Snap Packs. All right, welcome in, everyone. As you see, the four of us are here ready to ask some questions to Matt in regards to Snap Packs. So let's introduce everybody and start over on this side here with Lauren.
I'm Lauren Whatevs. I write intermittent Marvel Snap content and also host a weekly podcast.
Hey, my name is Binks. You can find me everywhere at Binks_plays, where I stream Marvel Snap gameplay and make highlight videos.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Nina. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else under Nina is Noob.
And for those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as It's Guest Gaming, where you can find me all over using that handle, Twitch, YouTube, etc.
Hey, everybody. I'm Matt. I'm Senior Director of Product here at Snap, and I'm here to tell you everything I can about Snap Packs.
And there's a lot to know, to say the least. I know the community's been asking a lot of questions over the last couple of days since we heard about it from the season announcement. So before we dive into that a little bit more, so I think this might be one of your first appearances. So why don't you let us know a little bit more about who you are with Marvel Snap and what brought you here now to, well, this project?
Yeah, I've been on the project for about a year now. I lead the product team. We have a product team and a design team, and the two of us work together, designing most of the features and thinking about them. Of course, the engineering and QA and art teams do a lot of the actual building. But, you know, we're thinking about the future of the game. What are the right kind of features to add to the game? How do those things impact both the players and the business of Snap? In terms of me, I've been around the gaming industry for about 20 years now, mostly all in mobile and mostly free to play games. So it makes me feel a little bit old, but I kind of got my start in the if people remember, pre-mobile, pre-Facebook, a lot of kind of early games as service in the West were like on the web. But that's where I fell in love with, you know, when you're working on a game as a service, adding new things all the time, you're talking directly to the players like we are now. There's all kinds of data to look at about how the game is performing. I just kind of love that immediacy and that connection with the game and the players. So I've kind of stayed in the game service space ever since.
With that said, also, why Second Dinner? What brought you from, you know, your past experiences into this, you know, now exploding market of Marvel Snap specifically?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things, and I guess they're fairly obvious. You know, Snap's an incredible game. So anytime you get a chance to work on a great game, it's, you know, a hard thing to pass up. I grew up playing, you know, lots of board games, so I have some experience in card games and playing things like Magic and Hearthstone, but this is my first CCG I've worked on, so it's also fun to explore and learn a whole new genre. And the last thing I say is there's so many talented people at Second Dinner, and the culture is really great. So no matter whether you're working in gaming or any other industry, like, a lot of your experience is defined day to day by the people you work with. So it's always nice to be around good people.
Just to spin a small, you know, little curiosity question, because obviously working on the game is one thing. When you do play the game, not build the game, but when you actually are playing the game, do you have a comfort deck or a specific card that you target all the time? Like, I need to have this, or this is where my brain goes first when building?
Yeah, for a long time actually was the like Wong, Sarah, Magic, Silver Surfer, Ironheart deck. And there was a good few months where that deck was like how I first got to Infinite. But more recently, I really enjoyed the Scream move deck. I love having Scream out early and just stealing power from people. I'm not necessarily someone who just wants to like screw with everybody else on the board, but that deck in particular is really satisfying.
So let's dive into Snap Packs then. And to do that, to kind of go over Snap Pack 101, I'm going to let Nina is Noob now take over.
How do the Snap Packs actually benefit players of all experiences?
That's a good question. I think the main way to think about this is, one, we're keeping everything from the current game in terms of how you get cards. You know, most of that is the current token shop. And the only thing we're really doing with this new Snap Packs feature is adding the ability to acquire packs. And the way we're changing how you acquire tokens in the game is swapping keys out for tokens. So instead of just having this, kind of blunt instrument in terms of a key in the Spotlight cache and kind of rolling the dice on what you get with the Spotlight cache, you now can take your tokens and spend them how you want. And I think that's where different players who are at different points in the game, who have different needs, will use those tokens in different ways. So if you're a new player, you might decide I could save 2 keys worth of tokens, 6,000 tokens, and get 1 Spotlight card if I really want it. Like maybe a card that's really powerful or exciting comes up. But you can also take those tokens and get a lot more Series 3 cards. If you're learning the game and you're trying to get deeper into the meta, you can just acquire cards much more quickly. And that's something we definitely want. We want it to be easier for players to catch up. We're pricing cards in 3 different tiers. There's the highest prices for single cards, the next level down for newer cards from the last couple of seasons, and then older cards. So if you're lapsed and you're missing out on older cards, you can get a higher volume of older cards. Or let's say you miss a season or 2. Right now, that's pretty painful because it's really hard to get the Spotlight cards that you just missed. And now those will be in a pack, and that pack won't have a whole lot of cards in it. So you have some targeting there to kind of catch up. And then if you're an elder player, you probably care most about those newer packs, right? And that's where you can kind of stay up to date and get the cards you want.
What about the weekly Spotlight variants? What's going to happen to those?
That's a good question. We really want to get those back in the game. We basically split the shop up into 2 sections. One is cards and the other one will be called offers. Most of offers is all of our cosmetics. So we're trying to keep the focus of those different sections and move the Spotlight cards back over into the offer section. So I'm sure that's where they'll show up. But we know people love Spotlight variants. I love Spotlight variants. We're working on something to get them back in there soon.
How does the new system affect the series drops we've all become accustomed to?
That's also a good question. Nina, you're asking me all the tough questions here.
I'm here to grill you.
Yeah, I think with series drops, we want to see where the dust settles with snap packs, because series drops, I think, are designed to help people get more cards, and also more cheaply because you're moving them down in series and our cards are priced by series effectively. So snap packs is going to be doing a lot of the same work. We may need to use series drops as a complementary system to further accelerate card acquisition, especially for players who, again, are lapsed or further behind on the curve of getting to the meta. We want everybody to get to the meta. I think it's good for everyone. It's good for players. It's good for Snap as a long-term service, right? We want as many people who are playing with the newest cards as possible. The matchmaking is better. Everybody's having more fun. We did recently make a change where we doubled the drop rate of Series 3 cards coming out of the collector's reserves. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind as a complement. That was something we could do quickly and early, but that's another part of the overall kind of changes we're making. This isn't the end, the Snap Packs release that we have here. This is the beginning of a new system that's very flexible and that we can build off of.
So we'll still be getting series drops, possibly.
Depending
how this new system goes.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure that we're accomplishing the same goal that series drops had, and we want to see how much Snap Packs kind of gets us to that goal. And if there's still a gap there, we have series drops and potentially other things that we can do to close the gap.
The snap packs, we know that the snap packs, when you buy a snap pack, you get 1 card and some bonus goodies. Could one of those bonus goodies be actually be a card in itself?
Yep. And the way it works is there are 5 different packs, and they're of 2 different types. We have seasonal packs, which are the cards from the last couple seasons. And then the collector's packs, which are cards that are everything besides those. So the quote unquote older cards. So if you get goodies from a collector's pack, you can get bonus cards, and they would come from the collector's pool of cards that are in there. If you get a goodie that turns into a card in the new packs in the seasonal packs, it would be from that pool.
Okay, that's interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm guessing the drop rates for different things in the goodie, for the goodie bonuses is different.
The goodies are basically meant to give you a certain amount of value on top of the pack, and it kind of varies. It's like a 10% or so additional value on the pack. So if your pack is a more expensive pack, which the newer Series 5 cards are the most expensive, you're getting, that 10% adds up a little bit higher. So there's,
right.
the drop rates there versus the like Series 3 collector pack.
So what can those bonus goodies actually be besides a new card? Can it be like a border or a variant?
Yeah, we actually have
these no titles.
no titles, no avatars. We just introduced in the 39 release. We have a new reward type called Premium Mystery Borders. That's very similar if everybody knows Mystery Variants and Premium Mystery Variants. So there's same thing with borders. And so either one of those can drop from the goodies. So can Mystery Variants and Premium Mystery Variants, tokens, credits, and boosters, and then Series 3, 4, and 5 cards. They will be available in game on Snap Pack's launch. You know, the more expensive the pack, the higher the chance of getting the big rewards like the cards and the variants and the borders.
I'm going to butt in here real quick because I got to ask the question that is clearly on everybody's mind. Matt, how much is a Snap Pack?
Good question. Let's go over that. Yeah, so the way that I thought about pricing packs is starting with Series 5 packs, right? We have 3 different price points in this new system. We've got your classic or standard single cards that are 6,000 tokens. And then we have our seasonal packs, which contain Series 5 cards from the most recent 2 seasons. And then we have our collector's Series 5 pack that contains all of the other Series 5 cards that you don't own. Because remember, each pack is guaranteed to give you a card that you don't own. And that was where I kind of got to this like 6,000 tokens for a single card, 5,000 for a seasonal pack, and 4,000 for a collector's pack. That felt like a good amount of separation of pricing, and you know you're dealing in increments of 1,000 tokens. So when you're thinking about getting 3,000 tokens every 120 collectors levels, so that set the general discount rate for the different tiers, right? So the seasonal packs, and then I just carried those discounts across the different things. So that sets the prices for the seasonal Series 4 pack at 2,500, and then the collector Series 4 pack at 2,000, and then the last pack in the mix is the Series 3 collector's pack, which is 650.
All right, so getting all of the new cards or older cards, whether you're a new player or a returning player, it seems like there is a variety of different ways to be able to do so. And I know there are other mechanics coming to the game as well that will help enhance that. So kind of helping to break that down, I leaned very heavily towards Lauren Whatevs because she's insanely good with all of the math and looking into other ways to acquire these Snap Packs via tokens. So I'm going to let her take over this part of the conversation and she can kind of get into the nitty gritty detail with you.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's start small. How many free tokens do we get to claim every day?
We get 50 free tokens every day from the token shop.
Okay, so that's just like a once a day claim then?
Yeah, it's a once a day. Every 24 hours, there's 50 tokens available.
And then the blog mentioned token packs that we could buy for gold. What do those look like? Pricing, conversion rate?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different token packs available at different price points. The way to think about, or the way I thought about token packs at least, is, you know, we already have a flow in our token shop where if you don't have enough tokens to buy something, it'll ask you if you want to use gold, and then you can just supplement with gold. The reason for the token packs is that sometimes it can be a hassle to like constantly be going through that. So we decided to have some token packs at the bottom of the shop where you can, you know, use that option if you want.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I know players who are optimizing for card acquisition love Token Tuesday. You know, it sounds like some of these token packs are actually beating the current Token Tuesday rates. So I'm curious, what happens to Token Tuesday?
That's a good question. I think, you know, Snap Packs will make us rethink tokens as rewards in all places in the game. I imagine people will want tokens more than they used to, right? Because now you can buy packs with them. You will be rethinking about how we can get more tokens in the hands of players, you know, probably through events. In the past, I think because there was only a couple things you could buy in the token shop, the demand for tokens was kind of mixed. So, you know, we'll be thinking about how to offer tokens in bundles more in events, and then it kind of goes back to Token Tuesday. You know, I don't think we want to get rid of Token Tuesday, but you're right that we may want to adjust how Token Tuesday kind of fits in amongst these different packs.
Okay.
And I think there's probably a little room to, you know, to make Token Tuesday more generous.
Okay, so I've got my stack of tokens. I'm going in to buy Snap Packs. Is there some kind of interface where I can see what cards are in the pool I'm about to pull from?
Yes, that's actually a really fun part of Snap Packs. Snap has never had a place for you to easily see which cards you don't own. Now you can go and tap on any of the packs and it'll tell you which cards you don't own. So for the collector's packs, those are really nice. It basically tells you the whole big pool of stuff. It's sorted alphabetically. Seasonal packs actually shows the cards by season, the name of the season, and then the list of cards that are in that season and the name of the next season that's in the pack. Because there are 3 seasons worth of cards in the series, in the seasonal series 4 pack, and 2 seasons of cards in the seasonal series 5 pack.
Okay, so then I'm looking at the list of cards that are available in a pack. What happens when I have every card in a pack?
When you have every card in a pack, you can't technically look at it. It'll just show up in the card shop as complete. And then if anything changes, a new card comes out and now it's available in that pack again, it'll, revert back to the state where you can get a card from it again.
All right, that's honestly really exciting. That's really cool. It's interesting to see how the system's going to evolve also. I'm going to pass this over towards Binks, where he's going to kind of dive into some of the systems and rhythms that we've kind of been in for months and some of them even over a year, and now looking into the future because of what Snap Packs is now going to bring to the table, where we're headed.
Hey, Matt. So glad to finally meet you. Thank you so much for sitting here while we all grill you. What about previous season pass cards? So once they rotate out for that season's month, like where do they end up in which Snap Pack?
Yeah, this is the trickiest part of Snap Packs. So season pass cards are Series 5, and the seasonal Series 5 pack has cards from the last 2 seasons. So when a season ends, the season pass card becomes a Series 5. And that means it'll end up in the seasonal pack, but only for 1 season because it's on its 2nd season already. So then after that, it'll go to the collector's packs. So it'll kind of make this journey from season pass card to seasonal pack card to collector's pack card.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people sometimes, a season pass card rotates out and then they have to wait for it. So being able to like immediately the next season grab it, I think a lot of people are going to really, really like that. So will the Series 5 pack always have the new weekly card in it as well? So for example, if your collection complete, will you always pull the new card that week from the Series 5 pack, or will it be exclusive to the new Series 5 pack?
It will not be exclusive. It's something we kind of debated, but we decided in the end, for folks who are on the cutting edge and our collection complete, the newest card that we've historically called the Spotlight card will also be in the seasonal Series 5 pack. So if you have a pack that only has 1 card in it, you can buy it. And
awesome.
So technically you're getting the card a little bit cheaper. It's like 5/6 of the cost, but we're fine with that. It's kind of a reward for the folks who are staying all the way or getting all the cards in the game all the time.
Sure. And, we're going to have to see how things go with like how many tokens are there and everything. Like I feel like with economies like that, there's so many moving parts. It's really going to be something that, once you see, we can really build off that. So you mentioned this before, if you have a full collection, you just can't open any of the Snap Packs. So they're all grayed out.
So if the card store is empty, it's empty. And hopefully you're excited to go over, to the other half of the store, which still has a lot in terms of variants and other cosmetics. And we recently released Character Mastery, and it's going pretty well so far, but there are things we want to do to improve Character Mastery. And that's a place where people who are card complete can continue to, evolve more of their cosmetic collection.
So before Spotlight and Flexible Series drops, many players like intentionally waited for cards to drop to Series 4, even 3 before acquiring them. Are you concerned that like Series 5 Snap Pack, because it's trailing 2 seasons behind, might kind of cause those same concerns where there's just like a group of players who's essentially just like waiting for things to like shift around? Or do you think that this is going to encourage more kind of like proactive choice with what you do?
The intent is definitely to encourage proactive choice, and there are some kind of fair trade-offs for people to make. So there isn't anything inherently bad with people, waiting and getting things at a different price. It just means that, you think about a Khonshu or Agamotto, like 2 cards that I think about have come out recently that are really exciting. It's like, well, you want to wait 2 months for that card, that's up to you. The positive aspect of it is that people who are on more of a budget or free to play can still get those cards and stay meta relevant and stay engaged in the game and not feel kind of like they're just on a treadmill and falling behind.
Definitely. Talk about falling behind. There was another announcement we haven't really dug into, which is that you're saying there's going to be now more cards coming to Marvel Snap. I think that brings up some concerns with people of, if you're trying to have access to every card or mostly every card, this kind of tilts the balance from having one card per week. Is this going to mean that there's going to be more direct to Series 4 releases? And what's just kind of your overall breakdown of how you're going to be adding more cards?
Yeah, that's the general idea. There'll be more direct to Series 4 releases. We're still planning to maintain the cadence of one season pass card every season plus a weekly. Most of our seasons are 4 weeks, but sometimes 5. So you either have 4 to 5 cards that are spotlight cards that come out weekly. With the seasonal Series 4 pack, that's kind of the newest sort of type of thing in the game, where we'll have more direct to Series 4 cards coming out at the beginning of the season. We've already kind of been producing more of those cards, and you've seen those show up in events like High Voltage, Sanctum Showdown. So that will continue as well. We want to make sure that there are new and exciting rewards that make it feel really worthwhile to play through the events. And then those event cards after the season in which they're released will cycle into the packs. So that's the general idea. We're not looking to dramatically increase the number of cards because we know people are used to a certain cadence, and Snap is not a game that releases 300 cards a year. And I think the other thing to think about is the Series 5 cards tend to be the more game-changing cards, the ones that have the newest mechanics in them, that are more the anchors to build decks around. The Series 4 cards, so there'll be more of those, but those are cards that kind of have more targeted usages for different deck archetypes. So that's another way in which we're not kind of thinking the meta is going to be spinning up and running at a much more rapid rate. It's kind of filling in a lot of the design space and the strategic space for people to build decks. The Snap Pack system and the new card shop is kind of the new base that we want to work off, that's fairly flexible, and we can and want to do things like offer various different combinations of cards in custom packs at different prices. And there's a limited number of cards. That's kind of what makes our cards generally more premium, than a card game that releases a ton of cards. So I was trying to find that sweet spot there where.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I think we covered a lot of great things here. I know that you mentioned, this isn't the final step or anything like that. This is really the first step of a new system where hopefully, there's a lot of levers and different things like that you can control. But thank you so much again for just, giving us a laydown of these new series cards and where we can find them. I really appreciate it, Matt.
Honestly, this is all really exciting. This is an absolutely fantastic system. I'm very curious to see how the community feels about it. Let us know in the comments. And Snap Packs is going to absolutely dramatically change the Marvel Snap experience for new players as well as players that have been playing since beta. So Binks, Nina, Lauren, thank you so much for being here. And Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about Snap Packs.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
See you next time.